The night she walked in at 10, the sound of her heels was the only prelude I got, a sharp, indifferent rhythm on the floor that cut through the quiet like a needle. She didn't meet my eyes. She didn't even look at me. Instead, she let the words fall out of her like a practiced line, a smirk twisting her mouth as if she were delivering a punchline. "I had a one-night stand," she said, casual and almost proud. "I'd do it again." For a moment the room held its breath, the confession hung between us heavier than any argument we'd ever had. I didn't roar, I didn't beg, I didn't throw plates. I finished my food, swallowed the last bite like a man closing a chapter, and nodded once, slow, deliberate, and empty of surrender. She took that single motion for weakness, and smiled the way someone smiles at prey. What she couldn't see was that my silence contained plans. Marriage, for me, had been 7 years of shared mornings and small promises, 7 years of weathering storms together until my shoulders felt worn from carrying more than my share. I had believed we were partners, that loyalty was something we practiced without signposting. But the truth is, you can live beside someone for years and still be surprised at how little you actually know about what they will do when given the chance to walk away. The warning signs had been there in the margins, the late nights that curated a new private life, the phone flipped face down like a secret, the subtle cooling of affection. I had rationalized them away. Hope is a stubborn thing. Her smirk tore that hope in two. Pain came first, a raw hotness that shut my throat. Then, as pain always does, it cleared into a chilly kind of focus. Words are messy weapons, they can heal, but they also expose you. I decided to use something cleaner. I started by securing the practical things: passwords, statements, legal papers. While she slept in the bed of our shared life, I quietly built a new architecture that would hold me up when the foundation disappeared. I learned how to extract data, how to make a trail of proof that would serve me later, and I kept every move hidden beneath the calm of ordinary days. Mornings, she expected me to fetch coffee and smooth over whatever mood she'd brought home the night before. I still made the coffee. I still kissed her cheek. I returned to the roles that had kept us functioning, because there is power in seeming unaware. Behind that ordinary routine I cataloged everything: names, timestamps, messages, photos, each little betrayal filed away in a place I trusted more than I trusted her. 2 weeks of this quiet theater passed. I played the husband who bends and forgives because men who lash out are easy to dismiss. I let her assume she had left a man who would never stand up. Meanwhile, I had contacted a lawyer and arranged financial moves that would be invisible to someone used to surface-level control. Accounts were separated, titles and registrations were reviewed, access was quietly revoked in ways that left no alarms until it was too late. I didn't want to humiliate her publicly. I wanted the law to be the instrument of consequence, and to have my case as airtight as the truth I had collected. Then came the evidence that broke what little denial remained. With the help of a friend who knew how to recover what people thought they had deleted, I unearthed a history that read like a betrayal in high definition: different names, different nights, timestamps that wouldn't lie. It wasn't vindictive imagination, it was cold documentation. I printed the messages not for spectacle but for a judge. But first I needed the moment when the facade could no longer be repaired. So I let her continue with her life. I let her believe she was still invisible to me. One Friday she said she was meeting a friend. She asked for my blessing in a way that had the casualness of someone asking permission from an indifferent partner. I watched her go and followed at a distance. In a dim bar she sat laughing with a man whose hand found her arm the way mine used to, a familiar intimacy transferred without apology. I took the photographs, recorded the small betrayals that together made a pattern. When she staggered back home, late and smelling of perfume and liquor, I was waiting at the table with a stack of paper like a dealer laying out the final hand. Her face shifted from triumph to confusion to pale alarm as she read names and dates printed in cold ink. She reached for excuses, but the room had no patience for improvisation. "You smirked," I told her. "That's why I'm showing you this." She tried to plead, to spin, but the words fell into the evidence like pebbles into still water: no ripples, no effect. The next morning she found drawers emptied in silence where routine used to live. Her car had been reclaimed, accounts temporarily frozen while the legal process sorted itself, credit lines cut off by steps I had taken long before she understood anything was at risk. I filed for divorce with a dossier so thorough that the truth could not be argued away: adultery, documented, financial mismanagement, traced. The law, detached and impartial, did what human hearts often cannot when clouded by love or denial. And in court the messages that had been private became the instruments that untied the fabric of the life she believed she could take for granted. Friends and family shifted their faces as papers were shown. Where she had once commanded sympathy with a look, she now found herself facing silence and accusation. The dramatic moment arrived in a setting that made the downfall feel cruelly small: her sister's birthday, a room full of people who had watched us both through the years. She tried to play the part of injured party, to twist the story, but I had prepared for every angle. I placed the screenshots, the photos, the dates in front of those who mattered, and watched as disbelief curdled into understanding. Eyes watered, whispers passed, and her father left the room as if the floor had dropped beneath him. She broke down not from contrition but from the shock of being seen, her composure stripped away in front of a life that now judged her. People often ask if revenge softens the wound. For me, what followed wasn't satisfaction so much as a quiet unburdening. I learned, through the methodical unmaking of what we had, that love and resentment are different currencies. The moment she declared she would do it again, something inside me shifted from hope to a different kind of freedom. I stopped expecting apologies that would never come, and I stopped measuring myself by someone else's capacity for honesty. Now my mornings are small and ordinary in a way that tastes like peace. I make my coffee, sit with it, and carry no performative humility. I don't wake up thinking of how to hurt her. I wake up knowing I once loved someone who didn't honor that love, and that knowledge is carved clean. Do I wish for reconciliation? No. Regret would mean I still wanted what she had taken for granted. Instead I feel a neutral clarity, the hollow where affection used to be filled with a steady, cool indifference. That is the true cost to her, not the loss of things, which can be reclaimed or replaced, but the loss of standing, of reputation, of the sense that she could walk through the world without consequence. I don't celebrate in triumph, I simply move forward, lighter because the burden of pretending is finally gone. The night she told me I'd do it again, she gave me the only gift she didn't intend to: certainty. And certainty, more than any display of anger, allowed me to rebuild a life that no longer included someone who would smirk at my pain.